Most people with knee arthritis are unknowingly wearing the exact type of shoe that adds more pressure to their knees every single time they walk. Not a bad shoe, not a cheap shoe. Often it's the one marketed as comfortable. If you have arthritis, this isn't a minor detail. It could be the difference between a walk that leaves you stiff and sore by evening and one that actually leaves your knees feeling better than when you started. So which shoes are quietly working against you, and which ones are actually built to help lower the stress on that joint? Stay with me, because one of the answers ahead surprises even people who've had arthritis for years. Here's what's coming. I'm going to walk you through the 3 shoe types that physical therapists and gait researchers consistently point to as genuinely helpful for reducing stress on arthritic knees. But I'm not going to just list them off. One of these 3 completely goes against what most shoe stores tell customers, and once you understand why, you'll never look at a cushioned shoe the same way again. Before that, we're going to look at exactly what happens inside your knee joint with every step, using a simple picture that will change how you think about walking altogether. And near the end, I'll walk you through a 30-second test using shoes you already own that tells you in seconds whether they're helping your knees or working against them. One more thing before we start. There's a mistake almost everyone makes when shoe shopping, and it has nothing to do with price. Think about your last walk. Maybe it was to the mailbox, maybe a lap around the block. Did your knees feel fine when you started, but a little more stiff, a little more achy by the time you sat back down? You're not imagining it, and you're far from alone. Many people quietly assume they're simply getting older and that this is just how knees are supposed to feel now. But often, it's not age making every walk harder. It's the wrong shoe multiplying the stress your knees were already managing.
Here's what makes this so frustrating. Arthritis doesn't just take away comfortable walks. Little by little, it starts taking away things people never expected to lose. The walk around the block with the dog, keeping up with grandkids at the park, the confidence to explore a new city on vacation without wondering if your knees will hold up. Most people respond the same quiet way. They don't complain, they just adjust, skip the stairs, shorten the walk, say maybe next time a little more often than they used to. But before you buy your next pair of shoes, there's something worth understanding about what's actually happening inside that joint. Let's look at it. Picture your knee as a hinge, sitting between 2 long levers, your thigh bone above, your shin bone below. Every time your foot lands, force travels upward through that hinge. In a healthy knee, cartilage acts like a cushion, soaking up most of that shock. But with arthritis, that cushioning has thinned. More of each step's force reaches the joint directly, unfiltered. Here's what's surprising. The knee isn't simply reacting to the ground, it's reacting to how the shoe changes that force before it even reaches the joint. Imagine every step sending a small ripple upward through the ankle, into the knee, hundreds of times on a short walk, thousands of times in a day. The shoe helps determine how much of that force reaches the knee. Certain supportive, appropriately stiff sole designs have been shown to reduce twisting forces at the knee. A properly cushioned shoe can lower the peak impact reaching the joint. And here's where it gets surprising. Shoes marketed as flexible or natural often allow more side-to-side motion than an arthritic knee can comfortably absorb. There's one feature people almost never check before buying, and it has nothing to do with softness. Let's talk about the 3 shoe types that actually help reduce stress on the joint, and the one popular style that quietly works against it. Shoe number 1 is a stable, motion control walking shoe. It's not the softest thing on the shelf. Many people walk right past it in the store because it feels a little firmer than expected. But that firmer heel counter keeps your foot from rolling too far inward or outward with each step. That's why many people notice the difference after the walk, not during the first minute they try it on.
Shoe number 2 has something you'd never notice just holding it, a slightly rockered sole. Barely curved, almost invisible to the eye. But that small curve lets your foot roll smoothly from heel to toe instead of your knee compensating for a flat, rigid platform. People often say the real difference shows up 20 minutes into a walk when their stride suddenly feels smoother than usual. And here's where it gets interesting. Shoe number 3 isn't the plush, pillowy sneaker most people expect. It's cushioned, yes, but with a firm midsole underneath, like a good mattress that supports without letting you sink. This is the one that keeps knees feeling steady even on longer walks when fatigue would normally make form start to slip. Notice the pattern: stability, smooth motion, and shock absorption. That's the combination that actually helps lower the load on an arthritic knee. But here's the twist almost nobody sees coming. The shoe most often marketed as gentle on your joints may be doing the opposite. In just a moment, I'll show you the 30-second test that reveals whether your own shoes belong in this category. But first, here's the proof behind it. That shoe is the minimalist or barefoot style design. Thin sole, very flexible, almost no structure. Marketed as natural, lightweight, gentle. For a young, healthy foot, that style can work just fine. But for an arthritic knee, that same flexibility becomes a problem. The knee relies partly on the shoe to limit unnecessary side-to-side motion. Strip that structure away, and the knee has to work harder to stabilize itself with each single step. Physical therapists often describe patients like Linda, someone who switched to a lightweight, flexible sneaker because it simply looked more comfortable on the shelf. Within a few weeks, her evening knee stiffness increased. When she switched back to a supportive, motion control shoe, the discomfort eased, not because her arthritis changed, but because the force reaching her knee did. Findings from Gait Laboratories support what many clinicians see in everyday practice, and shoe type has become a routine question when a patient mentions new or worsening knee pain during walks. So the 3 shoe types we covered aren't theory sitting in a research paper somewhere. They reflect what actually happens when real people make the switch. The last check is the one that surprises most people, and it takes 30 seconds with the shoes you already own. Grab a pair of your everyday walking shoes. This takes 30 seconds.
First, place the shoe on a hard floor and press down on the back of it right at the heel. If it collapses easily to one side, it isn't giving your knee the stability it needs. Next, hold the shoe at both ends and twist it, like wringing out a towel. If it twists with almost no resistance, that's a sign it may allow too much motion for an arthritic knee. Finally, press your thumb into the sole. If it feels thin and flat with barely any give, your knees are absorbing more impact than they should be. If your shoe fails more than one of these checks, that doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It simply means it's time to look for a firmer heel counter, a slight rocker sole, and supportive but firm cushioning, the same 3 features we walked through earlier. Different brands offer motion control and stability models, so focus on these features first rather than choosing a shoe based on the brand name alone. Here's your simple action plan. This week, run the 30-second test on your current shoes. If they don't pass, try on a pair built for stability the next time you're shopping, and notice how your knees feel after the walk, not just how the shoe feels standing in the store. This is the part worth remembering. You don't need a new hip, a new knee, or a new diet to start walking more comfortably. You may just need a smarter pair of shoes, something entirely within your control, starting today. Because in the end, this isn't really about shoes. It's about being able to keep walking the dog, keep chasing grandkids at the park, keep exploring on vacation without wondering if your knees will hold up. That's what's actually at stake here. If this helped you look at your shoes a little differently, that's exactly what this channel is here for. Practical, honest information you can actually use without the hype and without the scare tactics. If you'd like to go deeper, we have another video breaking down the best and worst everyday shoe features for arthritis, and it pairs perfectly with what we just covered. And if your own knees have felt different depending on which shoes you wear, tell us about it in the comments. Your experience might be exactly what helps someone else finally understand what's been going on with their own knees. If you found this useful, consider subscribing. We're here every week helping you move through life a little easier, one honest, well-researched video at a time. Take care of those knees, and we'll see you in the next one.